Hello and welcome esteemed guests. Now prepare yourself for the first annual Movies of 20 whatever year this is video. Now brace yourself, what you are about to see is from memory and unscripted. So don't worry about pauses, mild confusion, buts, and such. Now, it's time to relax, get comfy with some drinks and let's talk about movies from 2019 for over an hour.
Why, hello everyone, welcome to this year's Movies of the Year, semicolon, or something like that, because I'm not very good at grammar, the Movies of 2019 list. I've been working on this list a lot lately. I've been watching some good films, some bad films, to just get more of a thorough, good look of films I watched throughout the year. And I've recently completed it, and this is going to be a big video. I don't know how in depth I'll go into every single 140 films I've watched, but I think what I will do is I'll just give anything as much time as I want, because this is my list and I can do whatever I want. 2019 was a really solid year for movies, if we're considering the last half of the year, because really we have tons of films that are definitely going to go down in cinema history as some of the best.
I wish Freddy Krueger would come and chop off your head, and it would roll in the street, and a truck would squish it, and the blood would splatter everywhere, and everyone would watch it.
But it did take a long time to eventually find its feet into becoming a great year for films. So now we're gonna start off this brand spanking new Movies of the Year list with their top 20. So essentially how the list is gonna go is we're gonna go through the top 20 best of the year, and then we're essentially gonna round our way up from the worst of the year all the way up to everything else until the top 20. So let's go. Starting off number 20 with One Cut of the Dead by Shinichiro Ueda. I'm not 100% sure that's how you have said his name, but I tried my best. This is a really enjoyable and most fun and engaging from the films of definitely of the entire year. It's a film that definitely benefits knowing nothing really about when you go into it. I didn't know much outside of it's a zombie movie, and there's a almost 40 minute one take towards the beginning of the film. And I didn't know anything else, and I was pleasantly delighted by what came afterward. It's very nice. It recontextualizes the whole movie, explains some stuff from the beginning of the film I didn't even think about, and some stuff I was like iffy about in terms of its technical feats. It's really fun and lighthearted, and that's just really that strongest effort about it, and I can't wait to watch it again. And then we have The Nightingale by Jennifer Kent. This is definitely the most hard and brutal film I've ever watched. There's certain sequences that I kind of had to look away just because of every single image that was being bestowed upon me. And I like how it's just not a film where it just says, oh yeah, this guy did this to this person, and then they're on their quest to do that. Like the Michelle Rodriguez sex change film.
You killed my brother. This operation's your reminder of the terrible thing you did. I've liberated you from the macho prison you've been living in. Good luck, Frank. This is your opportunity for redemption.
It's not that at all. It's very engaging. It's very emotionally driven and very dark and brutal, and it ends in a very not bad, but very unconventional way you would expect a story like this. Everyone's great in their respective roles, but Sam Claflin as the villain of Hawkins is really the main star of this movie, who just sells it as his villain to where you just hate him and you just want to see this man just be murdered and just horrible things happen to him after what he's done.
He was definitely more menacing in this than he was in the Charlie's Angels reboot.
John, I'm a little confused. I thought you handled her.
Handled me?
Literally ruin everything.
Really powerful, really brutal. It's going to take a long time for me to get back to watch again, but I loved it for what it was, and it didn't hold back. And I think that's something that worked for this film. It did not hold back. 18, Breaking Bad's El Camino by Vince Gilligan. I love the Breaking Bad show. I live here in the city of Albuquerque where the show was based on. And I do think the movie is still really stellar. It's great to see everyone back in their respective roles with Jesse, Badger, Skinny Pete, Todd, etc. It's very emotionally powerful, and even though this film is pretty pointless in terms of like, we just gotta bring back Breaking Bad somehow, how do we do so? They did it in a very clever and very interesting and fun way, and it's still another good conclusion to this show. Everything wraps up really well. Jesse's conclusion and everything that has happened to him from the show to this point is fantastic. It's really good stuff, and I'd recommend checking it out if you've watched the show. Number 17, we have Portrait of a Lady on Fire by Celine Sciamma. I believe that is how you say her name. And this is another emotionally powerful and really well-told story of different things about females in society, about romance, forbidden love. It takes in a very unique and very beautiful direction I was not expecting. This is probably the best shot film of the entire year. Every single frame from this movie could be a painting. That's how well it's shot, lit, it's blocked, staged. Everything about it is just so perfect. Performances are really well done. It's very moving. The chemistry and romantic build-up between our two main leads is stellar. I believe every single moment of it. And it's just very well done, and it comes with one of the most emotional punches I've seen in a film in a very long time. Then at 16, we have Toy Story 4 by Josh Cooley. This film is really utterly pointless. Even going in, I was like, Toy Story 4? Really? We did it well the first time. So yeah, I was just kind of like mute to the whole idea and the story of Toy Story 4. But really, when I saw it and when I went into it, because I went into it with very low expectations, that I found the movie to be quite spectacular. Everything about it looks visually stunning. The environments, the staging, even the staging and camera work of the characters for an animated film is absolutely spectacular. It's a very well done and well told story. I think that the ending is a little bit predictable, but it's not out of left field. It's very moving, very well done. Every voice actor does their best in reportraying the characters. The music is one of my few issues, because it does feel like a Toy Story greatest hits thing. Because almost every single track from the movie is just from the previous movie, and I'm able to recognize how they were able to use it from one movie to another, and how they used that song in this and whatever. But that's really my only main complaint, and maybe some character stuff. But other than that, I think this movie is very visually beautiful and good kids movie. But it's not as good of a kids film as number 15 spot, Klaus by Sergio Pablos. This film is a really, really, really spectacular, pleasant surprise. I remember seeing a trailer late at night one night for this movie, and I was a little iffy about it. But the more I saw of it and the more I learned about it and how this was one of the first few mainstream 2D animated movies in however many years it's been, I was like, yeah, I'll check this out. And I did, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's really spectacular. It's really well animated, well orchestrated. It uses the liar trope. It's a guy lies to get his position, a guy gets outed, and then bomb back up, and then the whole end of the movie happens. But it's told in a very unique and well done way to where I'm able to excuse it, and I think it does it in a very clever way that's just not you're just waiting for it to happen, and when it's done, you're just okay, I'm out. Everyone's good in it. The animation is absolutely stellar, and I can't wait to see what this animation studio does next. Then we have The Art of Self-Defense. This movie was absolutely spectacular when I saw it back in September in theaters. I did not really know a whole lot going in. I was absolutely blown away. But on a rewatch, there's some things that aren't as engaging. It does take a while for it to actually get going. Every few jokes don't work all that well. But this is if Yorgos Lanthimos made some sort of karate movie. It tackles different messages about toxic masculinity and the ideals of being the perfect man in a very different way, and I think it's very well done. It's not cringy, it's not ham-fisted shoved down your throat to where it's if you're that, they do portray it as that, but it's not just terrible or unsubtle. It's done in a very well done way under the scope of a weird karate cult. Jesse Eisenberg is well utilized. Imogen Poots, I believe is how you say her name. She's good in the movie, but I really do think the breakout, the star and highlight of this movie is the karate teacher, played by Alessandro Nivola. I hope I said his name right. But yeah, good film, good film. A lot of jokes do land, and it's very unique, and I think that's something interesting. It's a very unique and different film than I've seen all year. Then we have Rocketman. This is like what Bohemian Rhapsody wasn't. It utilizes its musical fantasy elements very well. It's very well shot, well lit, well staged. Anybody who sings their songs isn't bad. They're all really good singers. And I really do like this journey of the Elton John character. I know some of it's like altered. Elton John did want it purposely altered, and he did not want him completely portrayed as this nice, likable guy. It does portray the rock star life, but it does it in a very different way and more graphic way than a lot of films have done recently. Example?
I've got it. Got what? AIDS. Fuck you, bitch.
But yeah, it was really well good, really well emotionally moving, very depressing film, but it's a nice film, and it comes with one of the most, I think probably one of my favorite endings of a movie out of the entire year. And then we have Avengers Endgame, because I'm a Marvel shill fanboy. Yeah, I've been watching these Marvel movies all the way back since I was about 5 to 4 years old. I've been watching them all in theaters. I would always rewatch them if they were on TV, and to see this build up to this final film is absolutely breathtaking. It did not just happen out of nowhere. This wasn't like the third film in the series. This is effectively the final chapter, and everything about it is executed well done. I think most criticisms comes towards a lot of the time travel stuff and some stuff they do with Thanos. I don't think everything revolving around Thanos was perfect, but I still think what it represents and what it means for the team is still really well done. Visual effects are like 90% spectacular, and some are just kind of like wonky and like weird for me, but I don't think it's that distracting. Alan Silvestri's score was pretty spectacular. Every performance by the actors is really well done for what their character is. It's very well done, emotionally moving end to this tale, and I consider it my favorite superhero movie of the entire year. And that's all I gotta say about that. Then we have Midsommar, a really interesting horror film by the madman of Ari Aster. I loved his previous horror film, Hereditary. I thought it was a very unique, psychologically disturbing horror film. I was excited to see what this film would be about, and it's kind of the same, but it does do a lot of things differently and unique to where it stands out on its own. It's super shot well, it's very creepy, it takes a very unconventional way of how you shoot and place a horror film, and instead of making it like dark and gritty and kind of gross, it's set in like a vibrant, bright, colorful, unique world, where I think that really helps add to the unsettledness of like what everything they're doing with this bright light. It's very unique and really well done. Florence Pugh is spectacular in it. The Paolo Pogorosi. I'm sorry, I'm positive I effed that name up, but his cinematography is absolutely outstanding. This is a terrifically shot film. The music is absolutely outstanding. The development of the Dani character is very interesting, and what the ending represents for her and everything else is just really well done. I think just like there's maybe a few two scenes that are unintentionally hilarious. The cult orgy scene is pretty comical in my opinion, but I don't think everything is just too stupid to bring the film down, because I still think it's a really well done horror film. Alright, top 10 folks. Number 10 we have Marriage Story by Noah Baumbach. Not to be that guy or be a bragger, but I was definitely one of the few people who was looking forward to this film before it got as big as it was. I remember back when it was the untitled Adam Driver, Laura Dern divorce project. That's how old I remember this film. But yeah, this film's very different in terms of how it tackles like the divorce story of the two people, of like the New York Broadway director and of kind of like the Hollywood turned Broadway actress, and how it depicts the divorce is very accurate and very real. You can tell Noah Baumbach really used personal experiences as to how he could create the story as it was. Very emotionally moving, and it is a film that definitely tackles with things of like finding yourself, who to love, and I do like how there's no right side of who the divorce. You don't really go towards Adam Driver's, because there's a lot of stuff he does that's pretty like unlikable, but yet Scarlett Johansson also does things that is pretty, out of left field for the Adam Driver character to settle out for the divorce. But I still think that's another thing that tackles about their challenges of finding some sort of unique way to make it all work, just adds to that. adds to that emotional depth. Randy Newman's score is a little like off, but I think it's still wonderfully composed and well implemented into the film. Great editing choices, great moments. It's really well done, spectacular emotional film that I'm definitely going to be coming back to check out. And then we have Climax, the new Gaspar Noé film. Very interesting and very like skin scratching movie is what I'll call it. Everything about it just is super uneasy and very like making you like tug on your shirt just to like make it end. It really gets you in that right headspace with the characters as everyone else is tripping out on the acid from the sangria they've been drinking the whole night, and you're just finding out different things left and right. And I really do think what helps this film all together is its technical aspects, the way everything's performed. Apparently most of this film was like improvised. It only had like a page and a half of what was a completed script. Everything else was made up, and everything about it is just terrific. The way the camera flows, the way everything is lit, paced out, it's very uneasy. And I do think that the runtime is pretty perfect, because if this film was 2.5 hours or 10 minutes longer than it is, this film would not be as effective or like uneasing as it is. But it really is, and it's really well done, and it's a film I will always check back every like year or so. We have Jojo Rabbit, which is definitely in the same category. Taika Waititi is a very skilled writer and director. He can utilize everyone, whether it's dramatic or comedic. He's becoming recently very good at finding those two tones of how to balance them out perfectly. It's really well edited, has really well implemented music and song choices. Some of it does feel taken from like Wes Anderson movie, but it doesn't feel so distracting and out of place that it makes you like want to turn it off or something. Very emotionally moving, very adorable. It moves by really fast. Its message and how it implements the imaginary Hitler is very well done and very funny. I like those scenes between him and the imaginary Hitler a lot. And that's about it. It's a very just emotionally well done film, and man oh man, I almost burst out crying during that part. Actually, two parts, end part and that part. I'm sure you know what I mean by that part. Number 8 is Knives Out, the Ruin Johnson murder mystery film about the mystery of why he killed the Star Wars franchise, which was really delightful. I think Rian Johnson's a really skilled writer and director. His talent just did not work for Star Wars, as that was the second film in a series and you need to explain stuff, but he's trying to add his own style and different subversions of things, and after rewatching it recently, it definitely doesn't work all that well. Some things are okay, but we're not here to talk about that. We're talking about his new film, which has ideas like Star Wars: The Last Jedi, but if it was much better and more well developed. Every character is portrayed very well by their actor. There's an actual like nice message of the politicalness of what the character of Marta goes through. It's very unique, very engaging, and I like how it definitely does keep you engaged in its mystery. It's not just like bam, you're like, oh, it's so obvious that guy did it. It kind of plays it around till a terrific climax that just leaves you guessing, wow, I did not know that's how this film was going to end. It's very unique, very well done, and very, very nice different direction from the usual murder mystery trope we've seen thousands of times before. Daniel Craig is very spectacular in it. His accent's a little off, but I really do think it adds to his character and the comicalness of a lot of the jokes. The jokes also work really well. The score is pretty good. The weirdness of it is really well implemented. It's just a really nice film, really well edited, really well done, terrific murder mystery I'm always going to keep coming back to. It's just a nice film. Then we have the nice Martin Scorsese gangster epic, The Irishman. This film is another interesting film. I like how it plays with the gangster topic. Martin Scorsese clearly did not want to do Goodfellas again. He wanted to do something else and very unique to the character of Frank Sheeran and tying in with a history most people know, even though I didn't know about the character or history of Jimmy Hoffa in this film. I know it doesn't say everything about him, but it does say a lot of stuff that I certainly didn't know about him. Everything about it is nice. The way the shots are panned in, the staging of everything is really well done. For however old Martin Scorsese is, like late 80s, early 90s, he's still finding out ways to just craft a perfect film. It's very emotionally well done. The performances from our three main leads are all excellent. I think Al Pacino is probably the best actor in the film. Everyone talks about Joe Pesci being the best, and that's true. However, I think there's just something about what Al Pacino does in this movie I just find much better. Very emotionally well done. The final 90 minutes of this movie are stellar, and what it talks about and what it shows of nobody's alive anymore, and it's just Frank, Robert De Niro, just living it out all for himself. I will admit a lot of the de-aging towards the beginning is a little bit distracting. There's some towards near middle that is just like, yeah, this is bad, and they do kind of like move like old people. And I think that's really like my only complaint. Everything else is just perfect. The way everything is written, the way it tells the story, how it concludes. Everything else is perfect, including the visual effects, which does make you think that, man, these guys do look 30 to 40 years younger than how they do now. And then we have The Lighthouse by Robert Eggers, his sophomore film. In terms of technical aspects, this film is a masterpiece and technological marvel on every level. The way the sets are made, the lighthouse, the way they shoot on this one island, the one by not 100% sure with my aspect ratios. The way the aspect ratio is used is genuinely perfect. The score is uneasy. The way it starts out is very like, gives you the chills. It's very unique and very well done, very visionary. Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson are both excellent. I think these are probably their best performances. The way each one portrays their character is absolutely spectacular, and I personally think Robert Pattinson's the main star of the show. After finally stopping those terrible Twilight movies and like Twilight ripoffs, he's finally found his feet of being like a specific character, and he plays that character very well in each film he does as of recently. Everything about it is unique. The way it tells the story of these two guys going insane, and it's not just them just like, oh, they're losing their minds. It really does talk about like power, masculinity, the hardships of like wealth and the rich and the poor, and how one has to lie to get to a powerful position. It's very interesting stuff, and what The Lighthouse could mean to some people. It's definitely a film that will be explored heavily throughout many years, and will definitely be a classic. Then we have Uncut Gems by the Safdie brothers, one of the most vulgar, maybe the most anxiety-inducing film I've ever seen. The 2 times I saw this in theaters, I was definitely like on like scratching my legs, like my hair, and like getting super uneasy in how like unnerving this entire film was. Mainly due to its camera work and editing, just how frantic it is and how everything builds up. It's like Jenga blocks, both being stacked on top of each other and being removed until eventually one falls. Adam Sandler plays his character super well. He's totally well casted. If you cast it like any other person to play his character, it would have been super unlikable and just non-redeeming, to where you're just like, I don't care about this guy. I don't care about anything that's going on. Just let it end and let him get his fate that he deserves. But the Safdie brothers utilize his personality and the way Adam Sandler portrays his character in a way that's very endearing, that you want to cheer on for him just so he can just stop after this final big score. It's very well done, very well composed. The music and atmosphere is absolutely incredible. It's definitely a film I'm always going to keep coming back to. It's just a good film that you just watch, you have fun with. I think that's really what it is. And the Safdie brothers definitely are one of like 10 filmmakers that are the best working today. At number 2, we have Bong Joon-ho's Parasite, a very unique film about social class. On first viewing, it is like not every single message is subtle in terms of what it's talking about, but the way it portrays and the way it talks about it is very unique and very well done. The dialogue and pacing of how everyone speaks to each other is very purposeful and very well done. Every actor is terrific in their roles, with Song Kang-ho being probably the best actor out of the whole movie. It's very well done. The first hour is just so engaging and fun, and keeping you guessing where it's going to go next until you get to the final hour, and that even gets you like, okay, whoa, what's going on now? No spoilers, of course, even though maybe everybody has seen the film at this point, but it's still super well done and very engaging, fun film, and I always keep coming back to it every now and then. It's super well directed, well shot, well edited. The napkin scene is like one of the best scenes maybe ever. Build up to it, and the climax of that is just perfect, hilariously perfect. It's hilarious, heartbreaking, emotionally moving, and very perfect film that I might give my 2 cents into, even though like in like some sort of bigger review, even though everyone has probably already done that. Then we have Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the 9th film by Quentin Tarantino. And I don't think this film is probably one of the best, is like the best film ever, but I definitely do think this is definitely my second favorite Tarantino film. The way it is such a personal film to Tarantino that you can clearly tell he's done his research, and he loves this era of film and the way everything's shot, lit, directed, and staged. The way people play each other is super specific to the time period of the 1960s. It's very, very well acted, well emotionally moving. The Sharon Tate theater scene is super heart-wrenching and super moving in terms of what it's talking about and what it represents for the Sharon Tate character. A lot of things are just, and a lot of stuff about it is just fun to watch. Like Cliff Booth's side quest of him meeting the Manson girls is just interesting and just bizarre. And it's also nice to see Leo like this. I think this is probably my favorite, this is definitely my favorite Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio performance. They both utilize their characters in such a way that's so specific and super well done that I love it. I absolutely adore it. The way it's shot is super nice. The way the film looks is super great. And it's a very well done and emotionally moving film too, with a terrific build-up and ending that leaves these characters, that definitely has more of a respect and heart for the people that it talks about and it provides a message about than that terrible Haunting of Sharon Tate film does. Honestly, I have a lot more to say about this film in terms of its pacing, how its characters are utilized, and a whole bunch of other stuff I'm not even talking or even thinking about right now. I'm kind of just rambling about most of these films, but I definitely have a lot more to talk about with this film. I'm definitely going to give more of a thorough analysis on it, of what it means to me and others. But yeah, this film is super great. It's emotionally well done. Tarantino at his finest within the past few years, I think. This is definitely a masterpiece. So yeah, I have a lot of positive things to say about those other movies, but I truly think my personal #1 favorite movie out of the entire year, my personal pick for best of the year, maybe of all time, is...
Wanna know how I got these scars? Well, I'm the Joker, baby!
If you just smile.
No, I'm just kidding. It's not that crap. We're obviously talking about Waves by Trey Edward Schultz. This film left me very emotionally empty when I first watched it in theaters. I knew I liked it, but I needed to give it time to digest, and then I'll come back to it months later and then to have more of a detailed analogy. But I do think this film is a masterpiece. The topics it goes through and the way it explores it is absolutely breathtaking. The pacing of everything and the first hour is absolutely riveting in a way that the final hour explores, and how it concludes is genuinely perfect. I love all the music choices. None of them feel terrible. None of them are out of place or wacky. And you can tell this was very one-person oriented film. This was somebody's vision. They didn't just pick songs out because, oh, the kids like Tyler, kids like Kanye, kids like Radiohead, just play all that in the movie. You could tell Trey Edward Schultz definitely cared about how music was going to be implemented and how the film was going to be edited, because it's a very nice film that talks about family, love, forgiveness, and learning to come through a tragedy in someone's life. It's definitely a personal film. I definitely love this film very much, and honestly I think it might go up higher on this list one day. I don't know, but I do love it every time I see it, and it's definitely one of the most emotionally moving films I've ever seen in my whole life. Alright, we're done with that crap. The top 20. Who cares about that? Everyone's here for me to talk about the best film of the year, LaQuisha.